We all know nothing beats the energy of playing live roulette in a casino, but playing roulette online sure does have its perks. At the casino, you'll average 40 to 50 spins per hour, but online, you're looking at 100 to 150. The more spins, the more chance of wins. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on sports.
We welcome you to hour number 2 live right here on this National Championship Monday on the early line on SportsGrid. And what a way to begin this second hour of our 3 hours here on TEL than with John Rothstein. Bright and early on this Monday morning live from San Antonio in the site of tonight's National Championship game. He is already wearing the suit. He is ready to go. Soon we sleep, but not until the next month. Early here in April, John, a national championship at stake tonight between Houston and Florida. Rothstein joining us on behalf of the FanDuel Sportsbook, and of course, we'll be covering tonight's title game for CBS Sports. As always, John, for the entirety of this college basketball season, we thank you for being here.
Well, Ben, it's great to be with you on this Championship Monday. It's hard to believe that there are only 2 teams left in the 2025 NCAA tournament, but we have the 2 most resilient teams in college basketball in Houston and Florida. And one of the things that I'm really thinking about entering tonight's game is that the late, great coach of Marquette, Al McGuire, who won a national championship in 1977, said that, when you're trying to win a 6-game tournament, normally you need 1 game along the way. That's a white knuckler that you win. Florida and Houston have done that twice each. Houston did it against Purdue, and obviously in that epic comeback Saturday against Duke. Florida did it against UConn in the round of 32, and obviously that epic comeback against Texas Tech. So I have no doubt that these are the 2 most resilient teams in the sport.
Whoever might be trailing at the half, if that does indeed happen tonight, do not turn off your television because we are in for a great one tonight in the national championship game inside the Alamo Dome. But, John, to set the stage for the title game, we look back quickly on Final Four Saturday. One of the all-time great comebacks in the history of the Final Four. Houston trailed by as many as 14 points against Duke with just over 8 minutes remaining, down by 6 with just over 30 seconds left in regulation. You were there on Saturday night in San Antonio to see the Cougs pull off one of the best comebacks and thrilling finishes we have ever seen in the Big Dance to win 70-67. In your time watching and following college basketball with your own 2 eyes, had you ever seen anything much like Saturday night?
No, Ben, and this was a where were you moment when you were watching this unfold. I think back, obviously, and you know that I'm not really one who's obviously prone to following other sports, but I remember in 1993 when Joe Carter hit that home run when the Blue Jays beat the Phillies. I remember in the 94 World Cup when Roberto Baggio missed that penalty kick. I remember, obviously, Christian Laettner making a shot in 92 to beat Duke. And I'll remember where I was on Saturday night and who I was with when Houston literally from the jaws of defeat went to the ecstasy of victory.
Matching the third largest comeback ever in the history of the Final Four, trailing by 14 points in the second half. That was a stunning upset. So was John Rothstein mentioning Major League Baseball on National Championship Monday. But the guy can do it all. John, the first game of the night on Saturday, Florida down by 8 at the half against Auburn. They turned things around in the second 20 minutes. The Gators prevailing in the All-SEC showdown against their conference mate in Auburn. What did the Gators figure out in that second half to advance to a national championship game?
Well, the totality of Florida's front court wore down Johni Broome. And Ben, when we spoke last week, we talked about this being a real key to the game. You know, the four guys that Florida used up front, Alex Condon, Tommy Hack, Ruben Chinyelu, and obviously Micah Handlogden, all wore down Broome. And those four guys are going to have to be up to the task tonight if we're going to see, indeed, Florida's front court trade wits with who, obviously, Houston has up front.
Yeah, and John, as we know from Florida players after the game and anybody kind of walking around the tunnels of the Alamo Dome on Saturday night, it wasn't exactly the nicest conversation at the break in the Gators locker room. Todd Golden inspiring his team for that second half. But John Rothstein, you're a college basketball truthsayer all season long. This was the national championship matchup that you predicted. Florida and Houston on a Monday night in early April for a national title at stake in San Antonio. So now we have reached this stage. It is a virtual pick'em between the Gators and the Cougars, the game you predicted. Who wins it on this Monday night?
Look, I think that Florida has the best guard on the court in Walter Clayton Jr., who has made more clutch shots in this NCAA tournament since any guard I've covered, since Shabazz Napier did it for UConn in 2014. But there's something about the Cougars. There's something about Kelvin Sampson. There's something about the culture in this program, and we saw that on Saturday night against Duke. And it feels like a coronation for Houston, but it's not a coronation for Houston, Ben, because Florida is that good. But with that said, Houston is playing just 199 miles from the Fertitta Center. I feel like there is going to be a major red feeling throughout San Antonio later today. And I feel like Kelvin Sampson, at 69 years of age, will have his life and his career complete by winning a national championship. And as of today, Ben, and this is something also that is very, I think, under the radar right now, Kelvin Sampson has 799 career wins. So if he gets the win tonight, it will be number 800. And what an 800 win it would be to beat Florida for the national championship here in San Antonio.
Coaching in his first ever national championship game, John, and those 799 wins right now in his career, second most among active D1 head coaches without a national championship, fifth most all time for a D1 head coach without a national title. Hoping to change that not only for his own individual resume, but the first national championship for a proud Houston basketball program tonight as well in the Lone Star State. John, that was your prediction as well. The Cougs, they have the edge against the Gators in this national championship game. What is that biggest advantage that Houston and Kelvin Sampson will look to take advantage of tonight?
Well, you know, the one thing that I want to see is how Florida handles the relentlessness of Houston's depth up front. I think one of the areas where Florida had a decisive advantage against Auburn was Auburn had individually the best front court player on the floor Saturday in Johni Broome, but the totality of Florida's front court was able to wear down what we saw from obviously Broome. I don't think that's going to be the case against Houston up front with Tugler, with Roberts, and with Francis. So I think we're going to see a real prize fight tonight. Look, here's the bottom line. The more possessions there are in this game, the higher scoring the game is, it favors Florida. The more the game is in the mud, much like we saw towards the end of the Houston-Duke game on Saturday, the more it's going to favor the Cougars.
I think it's a great point, John. 140.5 is that total for tonight's national title game. You would think it is correlated. If Florida wins, it might be a higher scoring affair, over 140 and a hook. If Houston prevails, maybe staying under that number. Last question to you, John Rothstein. The Cougs cut down the nets as a national champ. Who wins the Final Four's most outstanding player?
LJ Cryer.
A plus 160 price right now. Second best number, only behind Walter Clayton Jr., but the shortest price for anybody wearing a Cougars uniform. John Rothstein, enjoy your national championship Monday in San Antonio. Have some good tortilla chips and salsa. Enjoy the sun. We thank you for everything this year throughout the college basketball campaign. I look forward to seeing you, Nat, my friend, coming up in May.
Ben, I'm saving my calories for when I, land at LaGuardia. Just so you know, I've got a reservation at Fort Charles in the West Village on Friday, so I'm excited about that. A cheat meal could be on the horizon along with some afternoon beverages on Tuesday. You're trying to get your early season rankings ready for late tonight, but they're changing not every hour, but every half hour with the transfer portal. We sleep in May, but make no mistake about it. Once I land in New York, we will drink in April.
Yeah, that is for sure, John. Have a great National Championship Monday. And, of course, thank you so much once again. As we return here on this Monday on the early line on SportsGrid, a small break from our National Championship preview. We'll do that later in this second hour with the Coach JY, James Young. Let's get you caught up on the Major League Baseball weekend that was, and the host of Pro Baseball Today, Donnie Rightside, back on the early line to look at the weekend in MLB next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games, just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Donnie Rightside back right here on the early line on this Monday morning. We need his expertise and insight.
Yes.
One of the hosts of Pro Baseball Today each and every Sunday on the SportsGrid Network throughout the entirety of this MLB season alongside Tom Vecchio. TV Tom will be on the show in our third and final hour. DRS, how was the second regular season edition of PBT? Third so far this year, right?
Yeah, 2-hour shows, man. It's a new thing coming to the SportsGrid network all across the brand from what I hear. So very enjoyable on Sundays. It's like a meet and greet at this point. The people tune in. They get the information they need from the week and also for Sunday morning's action, which yesterday was profitable again also. So good times here, easy. And as the season goes on, like Major League Baseball gets paint by numbers once you have about a month of statistics. So that could be the easiest show I do on this network on a week-to-week basis. So how about that?
I love that for you, DRS. I hope you do enjoy, and I did see yesterday a lot of your baseball card handing out winner after winner. That is the insight we get on pro baseball today. Late on Sunday, in fact, into the early morning hours of Monday, a blockbuster deal now done in Major League Baseball. Despite both sides feeling a little bit apart throughout most of the winter, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. telling everybody, I'm not negotiating during the actual season with the Toronto Blue Jays. Last night, a deal has now been brokered, and a big one at that. 14 years, $500 million, no deferrals. Vladdy Jr. gets his bag from the Blue Jays and more than likely will remain in Toronto for the entirety of his MLB career.
Yeah, good move for Toronto. You have to do this. You also look at a team in your division, the Boston Red Sox, that for some way, shape, or form over the past 5 to 6 years let superstar after superstar leave town at that point. That's not what you're supposed to do. You need an anchor for your franchise, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is that guy, absolutely beloved in that city, and rightfully so, and deserving. And he was affecting his play. The thing always, the notion I love is I'm not negotiating during the season knowing that every single day that goes by, you're trying to say, oh, I need a home run today. I need a double today. I got to look at my statistics. Now you can just get back to playing baseball and be an MVP caliber player and the best player on the Toronto Blue Jays because the financials are handled. Now you just got to get back to your winning ways, or should I say your home run hitting ways on the diamond.
Yeah. A 256 average, 0 homers this year in only 4 RBIs for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Not good enough at all, especially for me who followed Tom Vecchio's advice to bet on Vladdy Jr. based on a potential contract year to try to be Major League Baseball's home run leader. The Blue Jays off to a 5-5 start through their opening 10 games this season. Of course, DRS, one of the big storylines so far this year in MLB have been the torpedo bats. Publicized, notarized by the New York Yankees. So what does MLB commish Rob Manfred have to say about him? He calls them, quote, good for baseball. Does Donnie Rightside agree?
Absolutely. I agree with every single thing that Rob Manfred has done. The single best commissioner in any sport we've ever seen in the history of professional sports, puts his stamp of approval on more offense, just like he's done over the past 5 years or so. With everything he does is about offense, because why? We love offense in Major League Baseball. Torpedo bats need to be here to stay. The only thing, Rob, you're listening right now. I know you do. You know you love this show. I'm one of your biggest supporters. Sure. Make sure you keep the juiced baseballs in the sport. Don't say we're having a crazy month in May and June, and you got to go into the next month and go, oh, you know what? Let's dumb down the baseballs. Don't do that. More juicing, better for the sport, more offense. Let's keep it there.
Yeah, Donnie, I would completely agree. Here's what Manfred had to say, which I found rather interesting. The bats comply with the rules, of course. Players have actually been moving the sweet spot around in bats for years, but it just demonstrates that something about the game is more important than is captured by TV ratings or revenue or any of those things when you have the discussions and debates about it. Well said, Rob. But TV money is the bottom line, my friend, so keep negotiating for a better deal for Major League Baseball. Torpedo bats are here to stay. I don't know if it was the torpedo bats or what exactly the Boston Red Sox figured out this weekend, DRS, but they scored 36 runs in their series sweep over the St. Louis Cardinals. Now 5 consecutive wins for the Sox so far early in this season.
And also, we take a look at Rafael Devers yesterday on Pro Baseball Today, the panic meter. I was calm, and yesterday, boy, did a lot to calm those nerves. Rafael Devers really stepping up to the plate, and that offense has been fantastic. I told you guys before the season started, a legitimate chance that Boston can win that division, but one of the more fun teams to bet over the lengths of the spring and the summer, it's going to be Boston. That is a complete lineup there with power, speed, and athletic ability, and I love to see it, and I'll be betting them once we get some more of those numbers in. Love it, Boston.
Yeah,
love
DRS. Rafi Devers off to a much much better start. Did draw, or it wasn't off to a great start, but now doing A-OK. Did draw a walk in the home half of the ninth as the Red Sox rallied, scoring 2 in the home half to win it in extras to complete the sweep. A marquee matchup this weekend between the Dodgers and the Phillies. Maybe an early preview of the NLCS that we can expect later in October. Of course, LA entered the weekend a perfect 8-0, the best ever start from a reigning World Series champ the following season. To begin an MLB campaign, they lost game number 1 in game number 3 in Philadelphia. The Phils win the weekend, taking 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. What statement does it make, DRS, for Philadelphia even this early in the regular season?
The Phillies had the Dodgers number last year as well, and then obviously that 2 out of 3. And again, whoever's going to have home field advantage, who knows once the playoffs come at this point. But the one thing we do know is the Dodgers are mortal. The Dodgers superstar pitchers can certainly be slowed down a bit. And also, Shohei Ohtani's not going to hit a home run and go 3 for 5 every single game. Has he really struggled in Philadelphia? Why? The Phillies have upper-level starting pitching, and that's what wins in the playoffs. So whoever can stay healthy throughout the better parts of the season, probably going to get home field advantage. And we're not saying, Phillies won 2 out of 3. It looks like the Dodgers won't be able to beat the Phillies this year. That's not the case. But I think around baseball, the statement was, hey, guys, you can beat the Dodgers. Don't be scared.
7-2 start for the Philadelphia Phillies now. The Dodgers no longer have the best win percentage, Donnie, in the National League West. That belongs to the San Francisco Giants, who have won 7 in a row off to an 8-1 start. And don't forget about San Diego, who is 8-2. The Dodgers sandwiched in between with a 9-2 mark now early in this season. But not great news for LA. Blake Snell on the short 10-day IL with shoulder inflammation.
Never want to see that. But isn't this like I don't know what happens to Dodgers pitchers here. Like, they have unbelievable upbringings. I'm not saying that Snell was even drafted by the Dodgers, but something happens to their starting pitchers where they're always getting hurt. Is it too much velocity we're teaching out there? Who knows? Well, hey, don't worry, Dodger fans. You'll get an ace on the mound probably by trade in a couple days.
Yeah, probably so. More on the early line up next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One week from this exact moment, the NBA's regular season will be in the books. All 30 teams will have played all 82 games on the regular season slate. We will be just a couple of days away from the start of the postseason in the play-in tournament in both the Eastern and Western conferences. Donnie is counting down the days. Only 6 left in the regular season until we get to the end of it. But Donnie, on a Sunday, a lot of big matchups and a statement win made by the Los Angeles Lakers on the road in OKC against the Thunder. Oklahoma City had their 11-game win streak snapped on Friday night against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets won that game outright as a 5.5-point underdog. The Lakers were booked as a 9.5-point dog yesterday in Oklahoma City. They win that game by nearly 30, 27 to be exact, 126-99 on the road, outright as a 9.5-point dog. A total of 230 and a hook stays under. The Lakers have now won 4 of their last 5, covering in all 4 wins. But Donnie, probably none more important, or at least none more indicative of what this Lakers team can do, maybe making some playoff noise, than that one yesterday afternoon in OKC.
Yeah, it's almost like the Lakers should have saved this one here for the playoffs. Like, let's wait till we play OKC and we'll sting them in game number 1 here and take a 1-0 advantage in the series. Now you got Oklahoma City's attention because that was a really good performance. This wasn't as if, like, you know what, man, LeBron just had a great final 30 seconds. They won that game by 3 points. They torched them, 126-99, which including a torching from the 3-point line. How about 22 of 40, 55% on the road? The Lakers knocked down the 3-point shot. That is impressive. And Luka Doncic, 5 of 11 from 3-point range. So many times we were saying, oh, man, Luka just doesn't have that shooting touch once he came over from Dallas after that injury to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. If that is back, that is a weapon for the playoffs. And yes, that is a statement made by the Lakers, man, saying, you know what? Playoffs, we'll see you again, and we can do this to you again.
A huge win for LA, led by a 30-point performance with 5 made threes, 7 boards, and 6 dimes from Luka Doncic. Austin Reeves also pouring in 20. So Oklahoma City had won 11 consecutive games in that span, had clinched the 1 seed in the Western Conference. DRS, they lost on Friday again against the Rockets as a 5.5-point favorite. Yesterday as a 9.5-point favorite against the Lakers. The first time the Thunder have dropped back-to-back games since the middle of November. Just the second time this year. That is still how good OKC has been. So important for LA as well, because the Nuggets are struggling down the stretch. Denver has dropped 4 straight, Donnie, including yesterday against the Indiana Pacers at home with a 41-point triple-double for Nikola Jokic. So with a Lakers win and a Nuggets loss, the Lakers a 1.5-game advantage for the 3 spot around the Western Conference with only 4 games remaining. The Rockets are 3.5 in front of LA, courtesy of a big win yesterday on the road in San Francisco. The Rockets taking care of business, beating the Golden State Warriors by 10, 106-96. Again, the Rockets win outright as an underdog, a 5-point dog, as they did on Friday night against Oklahoma City.
It's pretty crazy, too, because the Eastern Conference, we don't really take a look at those seeding purposes and how important they might actually be. But when you take a look at the Western Conference, you know, outside of the Houston Rockets look like they're cemented here in that 2nd spot, that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th spot, right up for grabs, right down the stretch. Like, theoretically, Lakers, like, hey, we're playing good basketball. They go on a losing streak, find themselves in the play-in round, which would be unconscionable, thinking how well they're playing, and now 48-30 on the season. But the Western Conference providing the fireworks, as the East is just waiting to see if it's going to be, all right, Knicks healthy now. Can they do some damage against the Cavaliers and or the Celtics? But I got my focus here, certainly on the West.
Right now, DRS, when you look at those Houston Rockets, they are 52-27. They have a 3.5-game lead over the LA Lakers for that 2 spot. These 2 teams will play each other in the final week of the regular season. Houston only has 3 games left. The Lakers have 4. Houston won the opening matchup of this season. If Houston wins in their penultimate game of the regular season over Luka, LeBron, and the Lakers, that will be the number 2 seed. They need just 1 win in their final 3 games, does Houston, to clinch that number 2 overall seed. By the way, Stephen Curry yesterday, just 3 points, 1 of 8 from 3. Golden State had won 5 straight entering, and they were 21-5 straight up with Jimmy Butler as a member of their team from his first game that he played with Golden State. Jalen Brunson returning yesterday, as we shared, only 15 points in 34 minutes, but the Knicks do knock off the Suns 112-98. One more win for New York. They're the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Plenty more to talk about when it comes to any hardwood handicap. The scouting report from our coach, J.Y. James Young, up next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It is National Championship Monday in college basketball, which means our coach, J.Y. James Young, joins us here for the entirety of this final half an hour of our second hour on a Monday morning on the early line. We'll recap National Championship Sunday in the women's NCAA tournament, and then, of course, break down every aspect of our national title game on this Monday night. JY, we will be live together on this Monday evening in studio, along with our good friend, old K-Dubs, Kevin Walsh, for the entirety of the national championship game. Excited for all of it on this Monday to close out a college basketball season.
I know you had John Rothstein on. He says we'll sleep in May. I'm hoping to sleep in April. I got to get through one more night.
You certainly do, at least maybe early on April 8th. That would be a Tuesday morning with an 8:59 p.m. Eastern time, whatever the tip is now, for our national championship game. Donnie will be up the entire time.
Yeah.
Do not worry
you want a good story?
about it. Yeah, go ahead.
You want to go? Yeah, here's a good story for you, JY, tomorrow. Like, me and Ben will be in studio together. Ben is going to explain to me how good the game was last night live on TV tomorrow morning, because I won't see one single play tonight from the national championship. But I do that out of love and respect for the people out there. I got to be bright and early and bushy-tailed. I won't watch the game. Ben will explain it to me, and away we go. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a good time. It's basically going to be our 3 hours. I'm just going to do play-by-play of a recap version of the game, as we can't give play-by-play tonight on Bracket Central. All right, JY, let's dive into what we saw yesterday in the Women's National Championship game. And for the first time since 2016, but the 12th time in program history, UConn back on top of the sport. National Championship victory number 12 as the Huskies thoroughly dominant against the reigning national title winners in South Carolina, 82-59. A 23-point win. Connecticut covers as a 7.5-point favorite. A total of 136.5. Skies to the over. JY, after making Final Four history earlier in the weekend on Friday, winning by 34 against UCLA, largest margin of victory ever in a women's Final Four game, they knock off the reigning champs in South Carolina by 23. How was UConn able to be so dominant throughout this big dance, resulting in national championship number 12?
Honestly, they just had to figure it out. I know they had some earlier losses, including a home one to USC, which I do believe may have been the last loss that they had in a regular season, but I was undeterred. I thought that this team was the best team in the country, and they had to figure it out. You have to realize the fact of the injuries that Paige Beckers has had over the career, the fact that AZ Fudd missed last year, Chen transfers in from Princeton, has got to figure that out, right? And Sarah Strong is a freshman. You just had to kind of get them all kind of figuring it out offensively. And I think what you saw, Ben, was a team that was all on all cylinders. Now, the thing with the biggest takeaway for me was it wasn't Sunday, it was Friday. And AZ Fudd showed up Friday night versus UCLA. And once I saw that, Ben, there was no doubt in my mind that they were going to get the win. Remember, they went to South Carolina earlier in the year, broke their home winning streak, and beat them by 30. So I wasn't shocked. Now, I was shocked about how bad the score was, but I wasn't shocked by the win and the cover by UConn, because once AZ gets going, especially and she wasn't even going from three, pull-up game, get to the rack, whatever you need. Now, Paige doesn't have to carry all of it. Chen can become a little bit more of a point guard, and Sarah Strong could be the best freshman in the country. So once you got those three going, there was nothing that South Carolina could do to stop them, nor does South Carolina have the offensive firepower to go against that. Once that game started getting up in numbers, you saw Dawn at about 53-39. You see all over social media going nuclear on the sideline. Honestly, Ben, when that happened, you knew that game was over.
We take a look at UConn as a program. Gino Auriemma, 12 national championships now, and you saw him getting like emotional at the end, saying, "This is one of the teams where, like, I'm sad to say goodbye to them. I'm happy they won it, but how much they meant to me here." How much longer of a run do we have with Gino Auriemma with UConn? Because he is the program, and that's an interesting transition. But are we looking at this too early, or do you have a couple more years left in the tank?
You know, you can go both ways. I for one thing, in that you win by 30, you go out on top. I mean, there hasn't been a dominating performance like that at a national championship game. I can't remember. I mean, I think back to UNLV in '89 when he won by 30 in Denver against Duke, but that was a beatdown of epic proportion. Both games. You look at Paige Beckers, arguably one of his most favorite players. Well, at least according to Paige, she is one of Gino's favorite players of all time. It's figuring out that's when you go out on top. I talked to a couple different coaches like last night. One said, wouldn't be surprised. A good friend says, the point I keep forgetting is, well, you do have Sarah Strong for 3 more years, so you do have a big-time player to go with, but the recruiting class isn't what it has been in the past, so maybe that's another mind. Really quick to South Carolina, guys, because I feel like this needs to be addressed. Ben is going to go exactly where I'm going. Something is going on with Malaysia Fawali. I don't know what it is. She is the best guard on that team. You saw Gillette Law and other assistants pleading to Dawn to get this girl in the game. You have Johnson, and Papal go about 3 for 19 from the floor. And the only kid that can get you a bucket is sitting on the bench in critical moments. Not just this game. They started out slow against Texas. What happened then? Who was on the bench? That's right, Malaysia Fawali. She gets in the game. She gets a couple of buckets. Now she goes back to the bench. Something's going on. And the same friend that told me that don't be surprised Gino leaves also said don't be surprised if Fawali ends up in the portal. Something's going on in South Carolina that we don't know about.
One of the best guards in the country. In her 2 years in Columbia, Malaysia Fawali has largely come off the bench for South Carolina, a very deep team. Don Staley really ran it 10 deep this year for the Gamecocks, but that would be interesting. As we define legacy, of course, no more successful coach in D1 college basketball, men's or women's, when it comes to winning national championships than Gino Auriemma. And now with 1,250 career wins, that also the most in the sport as well. But in terms of a legacy for Paige Bueckers, JY, you mentioned it earlier, missed the entirety of the 2022-23 season with a knee injury, returned last year to lead Connecticut back to a Final Four. This year, a national championship game and the first national title since 2016. When we think back on Paige Bueckers, one of the all-time greats at UConn, one of the all-time greats in women's college basketball, how does her legacy change with a national championship yesterday?
It changes everything, right? Because you've heard some of the old guard, the Tarazis, the Birds say, even when the knock on Caitlin Clark was, she didn't win a national title, which is actually hogwash. But now she's got her national title on Paige Bueckers. And it brings up an interesting point, Ben, that I'm going to ask you, because you watch as much basketball as I do, and so does Donnie. I don't even know, this is crazy to say, I don't even know she's on Mount Rushmore for UConn. But you figure Maya Moore, you figure Sue Bird, you figure Tarazi. Who's the fourth? Is it her? Is it Lobo? Is it Rosati? Is it Tina Charles? I mean, is it Stewie? There's so many. They need a Mount Rushmore of like 10 players on it. But her legacy is one that came up with a lot of fanfare. I remember seeing her play for the Minnesota Metro Stars in AAU back when I was at Monmouth. Thoroughly impressed with her game. She has lived up to the goods. She's going to go into the WNBA, and her legacy will continue as she tries to forge a new path, starting with the WNBA draft, which I do believe is tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the WNBA draft?
Sorry, somewhat in the next week. I know. I think today is where you have the deadline to.
Make
But I
it
know
tomorrow.
the draft is
Why not?
coming up. Maybe I'm off by a couple days.
Because Paige Bueckers is going to be the number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft. I'm trying to find. Yeah, a week from today, April 14th. Who holds that number 1 pick?
Dallas.
The Dallas.
Got to get it to Indiana. Got to get it to Indiana.
I know. That was the question really quick was she doesn't want to go to Dallas. She wanted LA. That's why I think there was a little bit of weight of her going pro.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, now we get ready for the national championship on this Monday. Next.
What an impressive debut it was for Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. He ended up having the most strikeouts of anybody thus far in a Major League Baseball game this season. Buy or sell, George? Mackenzie Gore will be a top 15 fantasy baseball pitcher this season. Top 15. Buy or sell?
You know, these questions are made up by Sam Yarnell, our producer, man behind the glass here. Who's a Washington Nationals fan here? You ever get the feeling that he just made this where you have to say bye, all right? Because top 15? Yeah, I think he'll be top 15. Come on, Sam, make him top 10. Make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe even top 5. Yeah, I think he's got the upside to be that. Once again, he is a good pitcher anyway. Once a top prospect here, you're pitching in a good pitcher's ballpark here. I think the upside is there for him to be much better than top 15. Top 5 may be pushing it, but I think he'll be inside the top 10. So yes, I am all on board the Mackenzie Gore train.
All right, yeah, I think that I am going to buy this too, man. I don't know. He's just, and again, it's not just that one start for me. I think I have the video somewhere. I was like literally sitting behind home plate for one of his starts in Palm Beach, and I was like, wow, like this guy's stuff looks really, really good. Yeah, I'm going to buy it too. I think he's a potential Cy Young Award candidate. As George said, you're dealing with bigger markets and bigger names with LA and some of the other teams. Arizona's got some great pitchers too. But I think he's definitely in the mix. And look, do I think he's a top 2 guy? No. Do I think he's a top 15 guy? Yes. I'll buy that. As his season, I think, is going to be a special one for him.
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
National Championship Monday in San Antonio. Our scouting report with the coach, J.Y. James Young. Before we dive deep into tonight's matchup, where the coach thinks there are advantages and edges to be had, we look back one final time on a sensational Final Four Saturday inside the Alamo Dome. Donnie and myself live for the opening game of 2 that night. Florida and Auburn, the coach, J.Y., alongside Kevin Walsh for the nightcap between Duke and Houston in one of the great Final Four games we have seen in history. Of course, one of the most memorable finishes the sport has ever seen. JY, as you and K-Dubs are sitting there on the desk, watching a Houston team trail by 14 with 8:17 remaining, watching a Houston team trail by 9 with just over 2 minutes to go, watching a Houston team trail by 6 with just about 35 seconds left in regulation. But they keep finding their way back in closer and sticking around. What were some of the initial thoughts in your mind?
Honestly, Ben, the first thought in my mind happened in the first half when Houston was 3 of 15, 3 of 16 for the floor and couldn't buy a bucket. And I said to Kevin, they need to get this lead to 6 by halftime. And if you remember, they went 3-3-3. I think it was Cryer, Uzan, back to back. That got the lead to 6. And I said, okay, if you're Calvin Sampson, you're walking into the room and saying, we were god-awful, and we're down 6. Stay the course. Something will break. But then when Cooper Flagg hit that wing 3 to make it 64-55, we all thought it was game over. But something interesting happened with Duke. Duke got more worried about bleeding clock than running offense. And it allowed Houston to get back into it. You also saw Cooper Flagg look completely cooked. I mean, this guy was walking up the floor sometimes on offense, and that 5 minutes and 19 seconds of average mile that the Houston Cougars run, you saw it. There were so many pivotal plays, but the main thing I took out of it, Ben, is that game by Houston was not won on Saturday night. It was won in September, in the preseason, with the practices, with the constant chaos that Calvin Sampson does. It was won in playing close games after close games, losing 3 games in overtime. Duke, when the moment got big, Ben, they didn't know what to do on either side of the ball, and it's almost like as the game got closer, you saw Houston almost pick themselves up, knowing that they had a chance to steal the game.
Keep fighting all the way through to the end. Another comeback kid story. They're the Florida Gators, multiple times now coming back in the past couple games against elite competition. What happened in this game, Coach? 46-38. Auburn did whatever they wanted to on offense against the Florida Gators. Second half, 27 points. What were the changes you saw in the second half which allowed Florida to come back and win that basketball game?
Well, I talked about on Betting Above the Rim earlier in the day is the fact of you have 3 bigs that you're going to run at Janai Broome. And if Janai Broome was going to break down, I remember, Donnie, you were, and I talked about it with you guys last week, 23-8 last, against Michigan State. When Janai Broome couldn't score on the bench, they were in trouble. And that's exactly what happened. Janai Broome, fast start, 12 points first half, 3 points in the second half. And there was a critical moment, I think it was about 3 minutes left to go. He got the ball, he lowered his right shoulder, Condon took it square in the chest, took the charge, and Donnie, I don't know if Janai Broome got the ball ever again. Like they didn't know what to do. They started bombing away, and it looked undisciplined. Florida relied on their depth. They relied on all of their personnel. Elijah Martin with some filthy dunks in transition. I mean, one of them looked like Air Jordan the way he took it. I'm like, no, too far, too far. Yeah, that's why he got it. But to me, that was the key. And then obviously, Walter Clayton Jr., Lord have mercy. I mean, Kevin's going to take all credit teaching him how to shoot coming from Iona. We all know that's not the truth. But Walter Clayton Jr., was putting on big shot after big shot. And to me, which was stunning is, especially late in the game, I would have doubled him all over the floor. He touches the ball, I'm running a second defender at him, and I'm telling him, let someone else beat me. Because basically, Walter Clayton did it a lot on his own.
34 points, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. Walter Clayton Jr., the first player in the men's NCAA tournament since Larry Bird in 1979 to score at least 30 points in back-to-back games in the Elite Eight and the Final Four, the two most significant stages of a season at that point. But now it's a national championship game for Walter Clayton Jr., his Florida Gators, taking on the Houston Cougars. JY, after one of the best Final Four Saturday nights we have seen in totality in recent memory. It sets the stage for a Monday night inside the Alamo Dome for a national championship game. It is basically a pick'em. Florida, an ever so slight favorite. Total is 140 and a half. Where do you begin your breakdown for tonight's national title tilt?
Honestly, with the referees. We have to see how this game's going to be officiated. I don't think people understand. Like, Houston was able to be physical on the ball with Duke in the second half. Rarely call for fouls. Do the referees stay out of the way and let this game be decided by the players? If that does, that leans in Houston's favor because of their physicality defensively. If they let this game get to the foul line, up and down, you may see Houston get into foul trouble. That's where the trouble lies. I've been on Houston since day one, even when it wasn't a value play, even though I thought in my mind it was a value play, but it wasn't a value play. I'm going to stay with Houston, Ben, because I look at that team and that togetherness and their ability to defend and the ability to have three, not one, not two, but three elite guards that can make shots. You saw Calvin Sampson smartly go to Emmanuel Sharp on the ball. Look for him to find the mismatch at the guard spot and exploit it. I like Houston on the money line to get the win.
We're going to try to find those advantages in terms of how these two teams match up. The tail of the tape between two college basketball programs that this season have won 35 games. In total, Florida has already won 2 national championships. Hoping for number 3 in program history tonight. Houston hoping for its first ever, in Kelvin Sampson seeking his first as a head coach as well. Plenty more with our coach next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He'll never stop shooting a basketball the rest of his life. All he's going to do is become one of those old, famous ex-players that's in the Hall of Fame, that's a legend, that shows up at games, just like his dad did. His dad shows up at games. His dad was never as good as he is. And his brother is the lost soul. Like, they don't even care about his broke ass. This guy, Steph Curry, can play forever.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. 4 number ones, 4 champions, 4 teams that battled and clawed their way here. But here's the thing about 4 number ones. Only one can truly be number one.
Incredibly difficult.
When the stakes are highest, there's only one place to get all your betting insights. SportsGrid. We've got you covered until only one remains. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this National Championship Monday to round out our second hour with the coach, James Young, JY. JY, when we look at the total for tonight's national title game between Houston and Florida, you really could make an argument it is rather correlated. It's 140.5, knowing how these two teams want to match up. If Florida, the slight money line favorite by just 7 cents, is to be crowned a national champ tonight, does this total push to an over? If Houston wins their first ever national championship in program history, does this game stay under, courtesy of the nation's most efficient defense? What do you think the total means for the result of tonight's national title game?
It's very simple, and you said it. If you think Houston's winning it, you're parlaying Houston in the under. If you think Florida's winning it, you're parlaying Florida in the over. Because I think, like I said, it comes down to, number one, the referees. If the referees start calling this game extremely tight and you get to the foul line, that's going to be 3 points for Florida, and you're going to probably see guys like Juwan Roberts or others get into foul trouble. But if the game stays under, it's a Houston win because they were able to dictate tempo and pace. And I think that's the interesting thing is it's going to be a battle of wills. And that's why you even look at the team totals. They're right at 70.5. The money is coming basically right down the middle. This was a hypothetical line, if I'm not mistaken, from as soon as the Final Four was set, and it hasn't moved in a week. So that tells you how even this game is down the middle. To me, it's going to be about Houston's playing defensively. That game looked like it was going to go over on Saturday. Houston put that thing to a screeching halt. I still think it's going under 140.5, which tells you who I think is going to win the game.
We take a look at these two teams. Obviously, two superstar players on both sides. Walter Clayton Jr. is going to take Florida as far as they can. That means one more game to a championship. LJ Cryer as well for Houston. If we remove those two players, Coach, from the equation, any secondary players that we might be looking at, because Alex Condon, 4 straight games for the Florida Gators, milk carton box out here on offense. Who needs to step up for either one of these two programs outside of their superstars?
Well, if you guys could pull back up those odds to win MOP, to me, you're going to think I'm crazy. I think it's Elijah Martin at 29-1. Because if this game gets out in transition a little bit, that's when he can excel. He's had experience in the Final Four, maybe a couple of steals and dunks, maybe guards LJ Cryer. That's where I would look at there. If you look at Houston, I've said it, a.k.a. Manny Sharp, a.k.a. Manny Fresh. Manuel Sharp is going to be the one that's going to hit big shots. If you think about it, he was ice cold again. Well, who had 2 of the more pivotal plays on Saturday? The Emmanuel Sharp 3 and then the Emmanuel Sharp steal, which I still don't know why Wilson dribbled out to the 3-point line and shot it, but I digress. They still got the offensive putback. That's okay. So to me, it's Emmanuel Sharp, Manny Fresh for Houston, and Elijah Martin at 29-1 for Florida.
I do think there is some value in both of those numbers. More than likely, if Florida wins the national championship, Walter Clayton Jr., after what he did in the Final Four with 34, he's probably going to go home with the MOP hardware. LJ Cryer, the shortest price for Houston, but a lot of value with the Cougs. You highlighted Emmanuel Sharp, his matchups tonight against the Gators defense. JY, we know there is going to be a ton of physicality on display in this national championship game between the Gators and the Cougs. From a coaching perspective, what do you think either coach, Todd Golden for his Gators, Kelvin Sampson for his Cougs, is reminding their team in preparation on this Monday for how the game flow is going to look tonight?
It's going to be physical. If I'm Todd Golden, I'm telling my team I'm one of the biggest and best offensive rebounding teams in the country. Houston is not going to want to get in transition. We must own the boards. We must attack the boards with our bigs to try and get Tugler, Francis, and Roberts in foul trouble. If you're Houston, stay the course, run your offense. You did see at times Cryer and Uzan try to do too much offensively. Let the game come to you. Couple of props I like. I don't think there's any way in hell Calvin Sampson lets Walter Clayton Jr. get to 20 points. I like him to go under. And the junkyard dog is going to have an impact. Jawan Roberts to go over his rebounding prop tonight. He is someone that's critical to this game. He offensive rebounded the ball well in the first game. He is going to try and use his toughness and his physicality to attack the boards.
He brought it on Saturday night, no doubt. 11 points, 12 boards, 5 dimes, 2 steals, and a block for Jawan Roberts. He is one of the leaders of this Houston program. The Cougs hoping for that first ever national championship. Florida, the ever so slight favorite to cut down the nets. JYA fadeaway to the break, but we'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Bracket Central. Hour 3 for us.
Philly.